inside of your body with just the foods you eat without getting on, or hopefully if you are on those pills, being able to get off of them. That's the end goal, right? Because that will lengthen your life and your quality of life. So let's see what he has to say.
Okay, and YouTube, 2,500. So sometimes when you go to the channel, it's hard to find where to start because it's all random. So I wanted to create a beginner's video, the basics. So if you're new to my channel, if you have friends and family members that are new to my program, this is the first video to watch. Okay, so let me just kind of break it down. I'll make it really, really fast. Keto or ketosis. What does keto mean? When you burn fat, your fat breaks down into these things called ketones. Your body can then use those as fuel, okay? So your body can actually run on ketones. It's a much, much better fuel source than sugar fuel that most people run on. It's cleaner fuel. It creates a lot of other benefits, which I get into in other videos, okay? So keto basically means you're burning fat, okay? Healthy keto is a version of regular ketosis, but with a twist. A principle that I use is you don't lose weight and get healthy. You have to get healthy first to then lose weight.
That's right.
So getting healthy basically means, in relationship to eating, providing all of your nutrients. Okay, so you're eating foods that are high quality that provide all the nutrients. So you get the requirements that our bodies need. So what I recommend is something called healthy ketosis. All right? So that's the version. The other action that I recommend is something called IF. What is that? That's intermittent
fasting, you guys.
What is that? That is it's not a diet, it's a pattern of eating and not eating. So instead of doing 3 meals or 6 meals a day or snacks in between the meals, you're eating less frequently. Why? Because every time you eat, you raise a hormone, insulin. Too much insulin is very dangerous in the body. So what we're trying to do with healthy ketosis and intermittent fasting is reduce the excess of insulin. We're not trying to make it down to zero. We're just trying to get rid of the excess.
Like how it disappeared.
The vast majority of the population has excess insulin, but they've never been tested. The doctors usually don't test it. They're focusing on your blood sugars or blood glucose, but not fasting insulin, okay? I have videos on that, but you can watch it in another video, but the point is that we're trying to lower insulin. So to do that, you need to eat less frequently. Let's say you start with 3 meals per day with no snacks, and then you go to 2 meals a day, no snacks, and that would be considered intermittent fasting. And some people do 1 meal a day, but the point is that it's just eating less frequent. It's not necessarily focused on lowering calories, even though.
So that's what that's what the first week that I'm doing with this 15-day health challenge kickstart is pretty much trying to get you down in that. I mean, we just started it yesterday. Today is the second day. This is why you saw it from yesterday was a 10-hour eating window. Today is a 9-hour eating window. I'm slowly taking things out. As I'm taking these things out that are spiking the insulin, that are keeping the weight on and attributing to the weight issue that you have, inflammation, all of the things. So shrinking your eating window would mean you're shrinking your meals. It doesn't mean, oh, I only have 9 hours. I need to shove all that stuff in that I normally shove into like a 12 or a 14-hour window. It means I'm slowly trying to get you into a realm where you're going to be eating 2 solid meals a day. Maybe a day you only do 1 solid meal a day and a snack, but not eating breakfast, a big breakfast, and then a couple snacks, and then a lunch, and then a couple more snacks, and then a dinner, and then more snacks. So it's just weeding out all of the junk, kind of narrowing it down a little bit, and allowing your body to get back on track. And hopefully you'll learn that there are some wonderful foods that you're eating on the way. It's not so much changing the things that you're eating, it's changing when you're eating it. But also if you start like, you know what, after you start losing the weight, after your body starts responding differently, after you start feeling all of the benefits of your life, your body getting healthier, your mental changes too. And hopefully that inspires you enough to want to learn, okay, I do love, let's say like I have some short videos that are on that are doing like my healthy take on Mexican food, or I'll do like a Mexican or Mexican style burrito with like high fiber, low carb wraps, or just like breadless, bunless type meals that you can do. You can still pile the yummy stuff on it. Of course, not a lot of cheese or dairy for those that do have too much estrogen and are rocking that saggy belly that shows that you do have too much estrogen, that little fupa area. I would, back up on those things. But this is something that I can help cater to you if you did go onto my website, karachristiansen.com, and go to my services. Or you just reach out to me on any one of the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and I can help guide you in a way that will help you stick to it after this 15-day plan that we're on right now. So let's just hear the rest of this.
You will be consuming less calories. The focus is not on calories.
Back it up a little bit, because this
Lowering
is important.
calories. Even though you will be consuming less calories, the focus is not on calories. It's about eating less frequently. At the end of the day, we want to provide all the nutrients, so we need a certain amount of calories. The cool thing about intermittent fasting is that because you're eating less frequent, the requirements for nutrients go down because the body starts being conservative with its nutrients. It starts holding or retaining more nutrients. So what you would need for 3 meals a day, okay, as far as nutrients, you would need less nutrients for 2 meals a day, just because the body adapts. Sometimes people are concerned about losing muscle mass. Well, the other cool thing is that when you do intermittent fasting, certain hormones, like growth hormone, increases dramatically to protect the muscles from being lost. Okay, so your body tends to now conserve.
And that is such a big deal right there, because there are people that I have spoken to about intermittent fasting or fasting in general, and they say, oh, well, if there's not a whole lot of fat for your body to feed on, that's going to start feeding on the muscles. So it's interesting that he's breaking that down, that because your body has a way of protecting its muscles. Think about back in the day, God created Adam, and then he created Eve for Adam. And he created our bodies as human beings, not because we're always going to have constant food surrounding us. It's feast and famine. He created our bodies to be able to protect. Did you think that he's creating our bodies that if we've going a long time without food, that it's going to take away the muscles that we need to be strong enough to gather that food? So, our bodies are so intricate and so intelligent, and we don't give it enough credit. And I feel like, giving it a go, seeing how it actually works and the benefit. I remember the first time that I did the fasting, right? 24 hours seemed like forever. But I think I was so proud of myself for not for overcoming. I mean, there would be times where I would have like chips in my hand and I would put them down, or I snatched up a Oreo cookie and then I put it down. Like, just like the small feats over those things that, normally would rule my life. And I think that the excitement after the 24 hours, and I'm like, okay, I got this. So that 48 hours was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be once I wrap my mind around. You have to wrap your mind around it and dive all in. You just have to be like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm doing it. I don't ever have to do it again if I don't want to, but I'm going to just give it a go and see how it works. So for me, I don't like to practice anything that I don't preach or haven't, or preach anything that I haven't practiced at one point in time. So I like to always learn about it. And, the 3 days mark is when you really get to see the true benefits. A lot of people don't even allow themselves to get to that point. But that third day, I tell you, I'm talking like if you didn't eat one day, then you didn't eat the next day. After you wake up from that sleep, that third day, it's insane how the clarity, the mental focus, just like the energy level, it's just so different. It really is so wild that how your body responds in a way that you could never even imagine. I do suggest you trying it. I really do.
Serve protein as well when you do intermittent fasting
Let me back it up a little bit.
dramatically to protect the muscles
Okay, so
from
this is
being
what he's saying
lost.
about if you're fasting and you're worried about it eating
And
into your
hormones
muscle,
like
is why
growth
it doesn't.
hormone increases dramatically
Your
to
growth hormone
protect the
increases.
muscles from being lost. Okay, so your body tends to now conserve protein as well when you do intermittent fasting, so you're not going to lose muscle mass. So the
Nice.
two main things that help you lower insulin are the reduction of carbohydrates. I'm talking about the sugar, refined carbs, the grains, the pasta, the cereal, the biscuits, the waffles, the juice, the alcohol. I have a
All the
lot of
yummy
videos
stuff.
on this right here, like a ton, but that just kind of gives you the summary. And also, number two, eating less frequently. What we're doing when we actually drop carbs and we eat less frequently is we're adapting to fat burning. You're actually making new cellular machinery to run your body on fat fuel, okay, and no longer on sugar.
That's where you want to be. That's your
Now,
sweet
what
spot.
happens when you consume too many carbs, the insulin comes in and takes it out and converts it to fat. So a lot of the fat on your body right now has came from the carbohydrates, not necessarily the fat that you ate, but the carbohydrates that you ate. The other thing that people don't realize is this: in the presence of too much insulin, you can't lose this fat. So if you have a stubborn metabolism and you can't lose weight,
Mhm.
we know you have too much insulin. Is there a quick test to know if you have too much insulin? Yes. Just look down right now, and if you could see your belly, you
That's
have too
what I'm
much
always
insulin.
saying. Look
Because
down.
these are the
See
main
fat.
symptoms of high insulin:
You
belly
have
fat,
you have room
high blood pressure,
to fast.
high cholesterol, fatigue, especially after eating, decreased cognitive function, lack of focus, poor memory, moody, irritable, sometimes depressed, grouchy because of the blood sugar issue,
I'm sorry, I missed what
cravings
he's
for
saying on
carbs
all
for
this.
sure,
Sorry, I was talking. I mean, if you have any of those symptoms that he's talking
focus,
about, focus issues, people with ADHD or that
decreased
memory
cognitive
loss,
function,
like you're trying not to say that, this isn't
high cholesterol,
a dementia thing, but they are
fatigue,
trying to link the doctors now are trying to link dementia with some type of I think they were trying to call it, type 3 diabetes. So, it's interesting how he's saying that if you have, memory loss or things that are related to what, people with that are diagnosed with dementia, how related to food it is. So, I mean, it's interesting to learn about.
especially after eating.
Okay, I missed, like, the whole part that he's saying right here. My bad.
Asked to know if you have too much insulin? Yes. Just look down right now, and if you could see your belly, you have too much insulin. Because these are
That's a
the
quick
main
and easy
symptoms of
test.
high insulin: belly fat, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatigue, especially after eating, decreased cognitive function, lack of focus, poor memory, moody, irritable, sometimes depressed, grouchy because of the blood sugar issue, cravings for carbs for sure, and you're hungry all the time, especially between meals. When you get your body into fat burning, and now your body is burning fat between meals, because before it wasn't, it was dependent on your diet and dietary sugar. So now when you're burning your own fat, wow, you get rid of the hunger. Okay, you're not hungry anymore. It makes it easy to do this. You
It's
don't
so
crave anymore.
true. It is so true. So, going back to the fasting, 2 to 3 days, when, fasting for 2 to 3 days really gets everything into perspective. Like, all of those things that he just listed was stuff that I was feeling when I was putting this weight on to do this 15-day kickstart program in real time and show you guys how effective it actually is and how quickly it can work. Putting that weight on and eating all of the stuff that catered to all of those things, every single one of those symptoms was 100% something that I brought on to myself, which was, mood swings and feeling tired and craving carbs more and craving sweets and just like all of these things, literally all of these things. He was even getting headaches which was just terrible. So, putting it into perspective, it's so true, and then going into the where your body is starting to burn that fat, and it doesn't burn your fat just when you're working out, it's burning that fat the entire time. So you can lose a significant amount of that fat, whether it's around your organs, your belly, your hips, your thighs, wherever you're carrying it. A lot of people see that I put them on this plan, the change around their face is like tightening up because your body is also getting rid of all of those dead cells, all the dormant, the bad cells that aren't even serving you any purpose anymore. And it does a cleanse. It washes those out. There's the cell rejuvenation and turnover is so fast that you really start to see those big improvements and those big differences so quickly. So it's impressive what can be done in 3 days of a fast.
That's why healthy keto and intermittent fasting is very successful long term, because it allows you to stick to it, because you're not hungry all the time, you're not craving. Sometimes when you look up keto, you'll see this little pie chart thing right here. It'll say 20% protein, maybe 70% or 65% fat as far as the total calories, 5% carbs. Okay, this is very confusing for people because you have to calculate calories into grams and this and that. This is the simplicity right here. If you just envision your plate, okay, this is your plate.
Right.
Half of the plate should be salad or vegetables, okay? A quarter of the plate should be protein. And the other quarter should be fat.
Mm-hmm.
So this 65 or 70% fat, which seems like a lot of fat, now remember 1 gram of fat is more than twice the calories of
It's
carbs and
interesting you didn't see
protein. So
any
this is misleading. In
pastas or
reality,
any
the
of the
volume
things
of
that we
fat is really
learned,
only, a quarter of your plate. And a
the
lot of
pyramid where it's got the bread and the pastas and the things like that as a kid growing up, you don't see any of that in this pyramid. It's literally vegetables, protein, and fat. And those are the things that your body is meant and built to run off of, all the extra junk that you put in to clog it up. I'm telling you that the intermittent fasting is so big. It is so huge. And then, of course, working your way into the fasting. But I do, we're in the 15-day right now. This is day 2. But I do also do the challenge together because it's better when you have a support system and you have other people doing it, because you can kind of reach out like, oh, I'm dying, I really want this. I'm like, no, you don't. You have other people to pick you up and say, you got this, you can do it. And you're so much more proud of yourself that you did it. And then if you don't do it, then you're stressing out and you're releasing more cortisol, and that cortisol is turning into insulin, and the insulin is causing more stubborn fat, which is going to make it harder for you to lose that. So it's all like a vicious cycle. So doing it when the challenges arise, or having someone to do it that's with you, maybe like a friend or a family member, doing it together, doing the fasting and just getting your insulin back in check is going to be the quickest way for you to start getting your health back and in order, and just resetting your biodome, resetting your body, your metabolism, just getting all those things back in check and get started on a healthier pattern is simply, you don't have to get a shot, you don't have to get pills, you don't have to get any of that. It's just dedicating your time to changing your lifestyle and changing what you're putting in your mouth. You don't even have to add working out, even though working out caters to releasing the good endorphins, and those good endorphins cater to bringing your stress levels down. And when you bring your stress levels down, you don't release so much cortisol, which turns into insulin, which turns into fat. So, your knee bone's connected to your hip bone. It's all relative and all connected. It all just keeps, one thing's to the other. But the stress thing is a big deal. And if you've watched this podcast from the beginning, you're going to learn that, that is an actual thing. People that have too much stress, that have big bellies, or they're catering to these big bellies, is a stress level thing. It doesn't even have anything particularly to do with the food that they're eating. Like, I don't know if you've ever known anybody that's like, "Oh, I'm working out all the time and I'm eating good and but they have a high stress job, or they're around friends that are just super stressful, or situations or scenarios or whatever. They're in such a high stress scenario that they don't have an out there. They're just body is just constantly releasing the cortisol, and the cortisol is turning into the insulin, and the insulin is making that fat stay around and very stubborn to lose. So the quickest way around that is to get your stress in check. And one of the ways you can get rid of some stress is a good workout. I mean, I have workouts that I have up on my YouTube, and it's only 4 minutes. All you gotta do is dedicate 4 minutes, and your body can release that cortisol, which will bring that stress down, which will help you release that fat, so your body can use that fat for fuel and not just holding on to it, and then you're releasing more stress. So that's where the workout comes into play here. Oops.
This fat is actually mixed with the protein. So it's not as much as you think.
Love
And then we
you.
have this small amount of carbs out here, just to keep it really, really simple. Okay? And healthy keto and intermittent fasting is not just about weight loss. It's about getting you super healthy, for reducing inflammation, for helping your cognitive function, helping your overall mood, making the body work better. Okay? So now that you have the basics, now you can go to the rest of the videos. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you're liking this content, please subscribe now, and I will actually keep you updated on future videos. All right, guys, you just watched the basic plan, the overview. This is video 2. We're going to dig into some more of the details.
This is
mainly for people that are new to my channel. Again, I have 2,500 videos.
He does. He has so many videos. But this is a continuation. I think he said 5 videos that help break down what to do, what to eat. A lot of people just don't even know what keto is or what intermittent fasting is. So we started out the podcast talking about the different body types, the different body, learning what the different body types are, learning your different blood type. Although we didn't dive too deep into the blood type because he kind of debunked that pretty quickly. But the eating for your body type, learning what your body type is, working out for your body type. Mainly, this is discussing the types of foods that you should or should not have according to whatever the body type you have. Like, for instance, if your body type is carrying so much extra, like saddlebags and the big thighs and a bigger leg and a bigger belly, you might have, it's too much estrogen in your body. So you don't want to eat foods that contain estrogen, and you're just putting more on. So he's just kind of breaking down all of the different ways to eat. Now that we spoke about the body types, now it's talking about the ways to fix that with the food. Not drugs, not any kind of shots or pills, but actually fixing the issue with the foods that we eat. Sometimes he does mention like taking, because it's very difficult for some supplements to get enough of just from the food. So he does recommend, like taking additional of. I know sometimes he talks about potassium, even though bananas are good, but sometimes bananas have too much sugar, so that's gonna cater to, if the sugar's not burnt off from a workout, that now that sugar is going to turn into insulin, which is going to turn into fat. So he does offer some supplemental ways. It's not a prescription, it's a supplement that's all natural that he offers or suggests to take rather than eating it in the food way, because maybe that food has a little too much sugar in it, and that would be the only reason. Like he did mention the potassium, and then he also talked about the vitamin E, and then the omega-3s. So omega-3s, some people can't get or eat fish because they're allergic. So just taking an omega-3, they do have for some type of, I have no idea how it works, but if you're allergic to eating shellfish, but you take a supplement that has kelp or any type of like a round shellfish type of thing in it, that it doesn't affect you the same. So it's very interesting how that works. But yes, let's see what he has to say about this.
Videos, and you can get lost in all the details. This is the second video that you should watch, and we're combining healthy keto with intermittent fasting. Okay, all right, number one, you want to go as long as you can in the morning without eating. You just don't want to eat unless you're hungry. That's the thing that you need to focus on, because so many people eat when they're not hungry and they're wondering why it's not working, they're not getting
Mindset.
results.
Yeah.
Because the body finally is burning fat, and then you start eating. What will happen is you're going to raise insulin.
It's
And then
finally
your
doing what you wanted
insulin's
to.
going to
and
come
then you keep
high,
working
and then it's going to
again.
push your blood sugars low. Then you're going to be hungry an hour and a half later. So really, it's what you ate the night before that's going to dictate if you're hungry in the morning. If you do this correctly, like I'm showing you, with just 2 meals a day, you're going to wake up in the morning not hungry. So the goal is to go as long as you can. You may find that you can't go all the way to lunch. You have to eat at like 11 o'clock. Fine, eat your breakfast there. Okay, but what will happen, you want to keep pushing it to the point where your body is fully adapted to fat burning. You're no longer sugar burning. That could take 3 days up to 5 days. Sometimes it takes longer to get into full ketosis. All right, so that's the first rule of thumb.
You see how he says you're no longer sugar burning, because we have so much sugar in our bodies, so much insulin. We're trying to get that insulin down so your body can actually start running off of its fuel in fat. So then it starts burning the fat, but it takes a minute to get your insulin down before it can get to that level. So that's what he's talking about, running off of sugar is your insulin. So we're so much sugar in our foods we don't even know. We're just eating so much sugar all the time. But the bringing that insulin down, your body doesn't even start burning that fat until you get your insulin in check. And he's saying, how do you know if you have too much insulin on your body? Well, you look down, and if you see any, or sit down in your chair, do you see like your belly rolling over, or can you look down and see a belly, or your thighs, or any amount of excessive fat on your body, then you have too much insulin. And even for people that are they call it skinny fat, you know, you just because you're not seeing, just because you look small and you don't have a big belly, are you can you pick your skin, or like pull fat pads out? You still not saying that you're fat, just saying that you can still have these issues with having fats around your organs and fats on your bodies that are catering to your tiredness, that are catering to your mood swings, that are catering to all of the things that you got going on with your mental and physical. It doesn't necessarily mean you are carrying an obese amount of weight. You can still be suffering from one of these things, that you know just from eating the things that you shouldn't be eating, that's catering to those mental instabilities. Hey, it would be pretty great to get off of, for people that I know that are on antidepressants and things that make where their mood is just so melatonin and lethargic, almost like they're not being able to fully experience all of your emotions. But if you start eating the way that you should be able to get that in check, those mood spikes and that imbalance of the chemical that you're aiding with the prescription.
Um, if we can do 2 meals with a 4-hour window, okay, and what that means is that
This is what we're
we
working
eat and then we
towards, you
wait
guys.
4 hours and we eat again.
Right now we're at 9. So yesterday we started at 10, and now we're at 9 today of your eating window. And what he's talking about is a 4-hour window, but that's what I'm doing, is like slowly building you up into that realm where you're going to be in that space where you feel comfortable, where slowly my whole shtick is small feats equal big rewards. So not to overwhelm you with the ultimate goal, but this is how we're slowly doing it. If you follow along with my Insta or YouTube or Facebook, I'm posting up every day, and I'm posting my own progress because I'm going through it with you guys, so you can see it in real time, that it actually, the program works. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent that time putting that weight on if I didn't feel like it was going to be manageable to take back off.
If we can do 2 meals with a 4-hour window, okay, and what that means is that we eat and then we wait 4 hours and we eat again. That's your window. That will give you a 20-hour fasting period. That's incredible. That's enough to see some serious results. The only time that would not work for someone
Mine
as
is,
far as weight loss goes is, let's say they're going through menopause, they have a
how
slow
about now?
thyroid condition, and they have a history of dieting, and their metabolism is so slow, they're going to have to push these together and have one meal a day, and then they will lose weight. And there are even people that still will lose just a little bit on this, and they might need to go even longer because their metabolism is
I'm gonna buy
so
that poison.
dead, lose weight. And there are a slow thyroid condition, and they
Okay, so interesting that he's talking about one meal. That eating one meal a day, whenever I would suggest that, I just learned from over time with my clients. Whenever I would suggest to, this is what we're going, I don't even suggest that anymore because it's so alarming for some people that to hear, oh, you're going to be fasting or you're only going to be eating one meal a day. It's so alarming for some people that, um, is it still Bo? Is it still blurry? I hope you guys can see me, hear me okay. But, um, it's so alarming for them to hear you're only gonna have one meal a day. So that's why I just talk about the program. Like, just follow the program, follow as I'm gonna say, and I promise it's going to work. This is kinda how I'm doing it for the 15-day kickstart that we're on right now. We started yesterday, 10-hour window. 10 hours of a window might sound like a lot for some people that have already done intermittent fasting before, but for those that have never done this before, you realize like, "Oh, wow, I do eat all over the place." You think, "Oh, of course I can eat all my meals in 10 hours," but when you realize from the time that you put the first bite in your mouth to the time that you eat your last snack or whatever you're eating in the evening, you realize how many hours of the day you're at. It's almost like a self-check, right? How many hours you're actually eating each day, which is overwhelming in itself. But it really is an eye opener when you learn, oh, okay, I should just keep it in a 10-hour window. Then we slowly take it to the 9-hour window and then the 8-hour window. And we're slowly weaning our body into a better process. So it's not so start. Once this kickstart, the 15 days, once we get your body reset, rebalanced, and ready for more, then we can take it up a notch and then you're going to start seeing extra big results. But right now, you're just kind of slowly weaning. You're probably already losing some weight, especially if you're cutting out the things and doing the things that I said, which is cutting out the sugars, cutting out any additional sugar, no cookies, no extra, any kind of sugar, no pudding snacks, no whatever the situation. And then no fried foods is what we started today, no fried foods. So we're sticking with the no sugar and the no fried foods. So those are two very big things. No soda drinks, anything like that. Those are so huge that by the time that you've got 5 days in, you're going to see such a difference already just from cutting those things out. Never mind, going down to, I didn't take carbs out. I didn't like cut breads out or anything like that. I just took away the sugar, took away the fried food, and just drinking water or herbal teas. But you can use sweetener. Sweetener would be monk fruit or stevia, um, but not you're not gonna put like like regular sugar equal or sweet and low or anything like that. Something that your body can quickly process is what we're gonna go to. You will be able to move into the cane sugar realm, but there's no need if you're fine with Truvia or I'm sorry, stevia plant or the monk fruit plant. I haven't seen anybody have any reactions to that thus far. So, you know, this is this is kind of the realm we're going off of. We're going towards, but we're just taking it in a slow measure there so it's not so overwhelming and a shock factor where you're like, "Oh, I definitely can't." Oh, but my original thought is so before I learned of the shock factor and how it was affecting some of my clients, and the reason they were resistant to even trying it or giving it their full go is because it's so shocking to even think of. But then once they saw the benefits and once I switched up my method and my approach and I did the 15-day kickstart, that was a smoother way of easing into it, and then it wasn't so shocking and it wasn't so bad because they've already started losing weight, their inflammation is already getting in check, they're already starting to see the benefits, reap the rewards, so it wasn't so stark when I said, "Okay, we're gonna go to a 3-2-1 none or a 2-1 none." So 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, no meals a day, 2 meals a day, 1 meal, like that. So, but at first, you can't just dive into unless you can, unless you're mental like that, like not mental like that, unless you are able to set your mentality like, "I'm in, I'm going all in, and I'm only gonna eat once today, and that's that." So, if you're able to do that, that's great, but if that's too alarming and there are many ways to get to there, and the 15-day kickstart that I have going on right now is definitely a great way to ease yourself into what he's talking about right now. Let me finish this up. I'll finish this up and
Those
then we'll get
is, let's
be
say
all
they're going through
sweaty.
menopause, they have a slow thyroid condition, and they have a history of dieting, and their metabolism is so slow,
Mhm.
they're going to have to push these together and have 1 meal a day, and then they will lose weight. And there are even people that still will lose just a little bit on this, and they might need to go even longer because their metabolism is so dead. And I've had this happen, not to a lot of people, but certain people that just, from birth, they just had a slow metabolism for one thing or another, and they need to go, like, probably eat every other day. Okay, that's just what they need to do until the system heals. But for everyone else, we're going to talk about what are you going to eat on this first meal and the second meal. I've surveyed a lot of people, and this is what they eat, and this is what I eat. Eggs. I do 4 eggs a day. You can do 2 to 4 eggs. Pasture-raised organic eggs, they're a little more expensive.
The interesting thing that I learned about, the body with eggs is that if just from having 2 eggs per week, 2 eggs, just by eating 2 eggs with the yolk per week decreases your chances of getting Alzheimer's or dementia by 50%. Just 2 eggs, just 2. I mean, and as my sister put it, who, she's really big on, organics and the healthy life, eggs or killing animals for whatever the cause, healthy or the eggs that are given to you, it's a gift from it, these are not babies in there. You're not eating their babies. These are eggs like we have eggs. They're laying eggs. These are eggs that they are, as my sister says, gifting to us. They're gifting to us, and you're not killing an animal for it. You're not killing their babies. You are simply just eating such
But they're
nutritious
worth it. Now, it's really
eggs that
important.
will also help aid in so many things. There's so many essential vitamins and proteins and nutrients in these eggs for us that I can see why God put the chickens on the earth for us to have said eggs, because it is absolutely beneficial. Just 2 eggs, and he's talking about eating these on a daily basis. So, the chance of keeping your cognitive intact, keeping your mood stabilized and balanced just from having those eggs is going to be a huge benefit in itself.
Eat healthy eggs because the factory farm eggs are just, this is what I eat. Eggs. I do 4 eggs a day. You can do 2 to 4 eggs. Pasture-raised organic eggs, they're a little more expensive, but they're worth it. Now, it's really important to eat healthy eggs because the factory farm eggs are just so bad. They're just terrible. And then we have avocado. Avocado has tremendous amount of potassium and really good fats to help you go longer. Cheese. Now, if you are a guy and you have a prostate condition, don't do the cheese. But if you have a high quality organic cheese from a grass-fed cow, goat's cheese is even better, not a problem. Okay. So then we have bacon. Some people don't want to do bacon. That's totally
I love
fine.
goat cheese.
I like bacon. I do bacon from the farmer's market. If you're going to go to the health food store, get the nitrate-free
Thank
organic
you.
bacon with sugars less than 1 gram. Okay. Bacon, by the
I
way,
love
in
bacon,
pork
but you
has
guys have to
high
watch
levels
yeah,
of
high
vitamin B1.
cholesterol.
And for those people that are saying bacon is unhealthy, yet they're consuming chicken, I would beg to differ because chicken is really disgusting unless you're doing, again, from the farmer's market. Okay, nut butters.
It's
You can do almond butter, peanut butter, make sure there's no sugar in it, maybe a couple of tablespoons. Now, the reason for this is to give you enough fat, especially in the beginning, so you can go longer, okay, without getting hungry. You know, you're eating at 12, you have a hamburger or a piece of meat or a lamb or whatever meat that you want, 3 to 6 ounces. Let's say you're younger and you have a faster metabolism, then you do 8 ounces. Let's say, for example, you're an athlete, you do 8 ounces. Let's say you're a very large person, you need more protein, do 8 ounces. I wouldn't want to go over 8 ounces per meal. Now, we're not talking about actual protein grams, we're talking about the actual product of meat itself.
the size, the weight.
3 to 6 ounces or 8 ounces. So you don't have to calculate the grams inside that meat. It is a big difference. And then we consume our vegetables. You can steam them. You can have some raw or the salad. I do a lot of salads. We need a large amount of salad. So some people break up their salad between this meal here and this meal, and they do maybe 5 cups and 5 cups, or maybe 4 cups and 4 cups. I mean, 4 cups is not that much. It's
No.
kind of like a medium-sized salad.
I can tear
I
some
personally
salad.
do all of my
Mm-mm.
salad at one sitting. I'll do like 10 cups, and sometimes I'll do more than that. So I'm used to it. If you feel worse with
That's a lot of
consuming
salad.
those greens, that means that your microbes are not quite in the right place. You might have a condition called SIBO. I'll put a link down below, in which case you want to cut back on your vegetables, because what's going to happen, the fiber in the vegetable is going to retain fluid. And you're going to feel bloated, and your weight loss is not going to come off. It's not because you're not losing weight, it's because you're retaining fluid. Okay, just realize you want to feel good after consuming this, and you may have to eat small amounts and gradually increase it,
Interesting.
because guess who's eating the fiber from your vegetables? The microbes. And they might not be plentiful enough to do that. So
What did he say that was
sometimes I'll do
called?
more than that. So I'm used to it. If you feel worse with consuming those greens, that means that your microbes are not quite in the right place. You might have a condition called SIBO. I'll put a link down below, in which case you want to cut back on your vegetables, because what's going to happen, the fiber in the vegetable is going to retain fluid. And you're going to feel bloated, and your weight loss is not going to come off. It's not because you're not losing weight, it's because you're retaining fluid. Okay, just realize you want to feel good after consuming this, and you may have to eat small amounts and gradually increase it, because guess who's eating the fiber from your vegetables? The microbes. And they might not be plentiful enough to do that. So there's many different reasons. I'll put a video down below just on that one topic. Olive oil, balsamic vinaigrette is a great dressing. Maybe a handful of nuts, some seeds,
All
because
that.
you want that fat. So this is like one option of a meal. This is another option of a meal, just to give you an example. I put a link down below to my website because I have a lot of different examples of different meals. I have a whole recipe, but this would be an example of a typical meal for someone. Okay, let's say you do fish. I love salmon. Salmon is one of the best proteins because it has omega-3. We want to
Some
do
people don't like
quality
salmon because it's
protein.
got a
So
little
you
fishy.
can also do sardines.
fishy
Believe it or not,
taste.
there are good fats in sardines. I did a
Oh,
video on
I
that.
can't.
Or seafood.
I can't do
This gives you
sardines.
the iodine. So you do your fish or seafood,
It's not my
your
jam.
salad. This is for your dinner. And
I'll
a
eat
fat
salmon,
bomb. What is a
though.
fat bomb? It's like a little cookie with healthy fats in it. You can make recipes for this. A lot of people consume a fat bomb just to get them satisfied so they can go from one meal to the next. As your body adapts to fat burning, you probably won't even need that because you're burning your own fat. But in the beginning, it's really helpful.
What
Here's
did you
another
call that?
option
A fat
for
bomb?
you can make recipes for this. A lot of people consume a fat bomb just to get
Fat
them
bomb.
satisfied so they can go from one meal to the next.
I'm gonna look
As
up
your
fat
body
bomb
adapts
recipe.
to fat burning, you probably won't even need that because you're burning your own fat. But in the beginning, it's really helpful. Here's another option for some food. You can do chicken with the skin, preferably, nice and crispy, or
With the
chicken
skin,
wings.
huh?
Let's say you do, again, 3 to 6 ounces of chicken or chicken wings. You do your protein. It's moderate protein. Asparagus, okay, or any other vegetable that you like, or your salad. And then you do
Asparagus.
olives as your fat.
Asparagus
okay.
I ate so
I do
much
a
of.
lot of nuts
when
myself. I do
eating
that after the
with
meal
asparagus.
to the point where I'm like really satisfied so I can go longer. But the key is not snacking at night. So you want to add enough fat to
That's
go
right.
from
So you eat so much asparagus when you're competing on stage, because what's in that asparagus is a diuretic. So it does help you expel the extra water weight that you have on your cell. So even though it's not the best tasting, you do get used to it. And because you're eating in such a vigorous schedule, it's really about timing, keeping on that time track every few hours. Whether you're around a microwave or an oven or any way to heat that up, you're just eating that asparagus cold along with your fish cold. So you learn to just consume the food for fuel rather than an enjoyment is kind of how it changes your aspect on eating and food in general when you're competing and you're just eating for the betterment of your body's operation. So it does change things quite a bit. I don't know. As soon as he said asparagus, it just triggered those thoughts. We'll finish it up and then we'll be done for the day.
From this meal all the way to breakfast. Now, the number one weakness people have, I just realized, was
A little bit.
snacking at night. So you want to add enough fat.
This is big. A lot of people do
Like
this.
really satisfied so I can go
Snack at
longer.
night.
But the key is not snacking at night. So you want to add enough fat to go from this meal all the way to breakfast. Now, the number one weakness people have, I just realized, was boredom. So you're going to have to keep really busy right here and make sure you're not
It's
bored so you don't eat the
true.
wrong thing.
People are bored
You
and
can
they're just
consume your
like,
vitamins.
let
It's
me
not a
just
problem any
something
time of
yummy.
the day. Apple cider vinegar, teaspoon, and some lemon is really good to have when you
Apple
drink
cider
water.
vinegar.
Coffee in the morning, try to just do one. You can do tea. You can add some bulletproof. That's MCT oil, coconut oil. You can blend that in your
MCT oil is
drink
huge
if you
too,
want,
guys.
especially in the beginning to allow you to go without having the first meal. Not a problem. But if you find that
Pretty much
slows down your weight
coconut
loss as
oil
you do this over a
in your
period of a couple
coffee.
weeks, then you might want to drop out the extra fat. Urge to snack, that means you need more fat and more greens, more vegetables. Those two things will solve the problem. If you crave bread, you need more B vitamins. I recommend electrolytes, a good powder, and B vitamins and or nutritional yeast. You can get them in tablets. Very important just to make this transition smooth so you have no problems. Sea salt, don't be afraid to add more sea salt because you're
That's
going
what
to need
I'll
more
put in
salt. You're
my
going to
drink.
dump more fluid on this
lemon
program,
water.
and so you have to
I put
replace
sea
it.
salt when
The
I'm
best time to
fasting.
exercise is when you're fasting, so in the morning. Okay, it's actually, you'll get better benefits. Realize that it could take longer to adapt, but the way that you know you're in hardcore ketosis is that you crave nothing.
That's right.
You're not even hungry anymore.
It's true.
That's when you know it's really working.
It's a
Better
thing.
than any other test. This should give you the next layer of information or knowledge you need to know, and I will see you in the third video. Hey, if you're liking this content, please subscribe now, and I will actually keep you updated on future videos.
But I don't know if we're going to get... Ooh.
Now, I have done a lot of videos on the ketogenic diet, but I wanted to include a new video for beginners with all the updates, but I want to make it really, really simple.
You guys should have so much knowledge at this point on the types of food that you're rocking currently, and all the types of foods that are catering to that body type, and the foods that you should eat to get out of those ailments that you have, the fatigue, the cloudy brain, the overweight, the obesity, the tiredness, the mood swings, the irritability, crankiness. So we've learned a lot thus far. We'll go ahead and start into this third video of his, and there's one more after this because there's 4 different body types. So he is trying to tackle the eating for all of this. This is Dr. Berg, B-E-R-G. He has, I think, 2,800 videos at this point. And literally you can he's dedicated his entire adult life into medicine or his studies around the medicine as fuel, as food, from your food, not medicine. Even though he is a doctor, he's all holistic, all natural, and doesn't prescribe anything if he can fix it with supplements and just food in general or fasting. So his stuff is fascinating and there's something for everyone. Literally, you can type in on his channel anything that you got going on, and he probably has a video on it.
So let's just start with the basics. What is a ketone? A ketone is not a fat, it's not a carbohydrate, it's not a protein. It's kind of a combination, or it has characteristics of both a fat and a carbohydrate, but it's not either. It comes from fat, but a ketone is an alternative fuel source. And the way that you get ketones is you simply lower your carbohydrates in your diet, or you reduce the frequency of eating. And this is why we recommend a low-carb diet with intermittent fasting. And that way you can maximize your ability to make ketones. Ketones have many advantages versus regular glucose fuel. Number one, it will increase your oxygen in your body. Number two, it increases your energy. Number three, it supports the brain. In fact, your brain prefers ketones over glucose. Same thing with the heart. If your heart is damaged or your brain is damaged, ketones are the answer, and they can bypass the mechanical damage pathways and feed the tissues directly. Most of the body tissues can run in ketones, but some parts need glucose. And this is the confusion that people have. They think they need to consume glucose to get glucose. No, there's something called gluconeogenesis. Okay, glucose, new, genesis, the creation of. Your body can make glucose if it needs it from fat, ketones, proteins. You don't need to consume carbohydrates to get glucose. Now, it does take time to turn the fat into ketones. It's going to take between 3 to 5 days. It all depends on how damaged insulin is in your body, how damaged your pancreas is. If you are a pre-diabetic, if you are a diabetic, if you have insulin resistance.
It's not something that is going to take 3 to 5 months. It's just 3 to 5 days. If you think about how long you have been damaging your body or putting it through hell and back again, 3 to 5 days to me sounds so manageable, and it really is that simple. That's why I spent all those weeks trying to put the weight on, so I can show you just exactly how quickly your body does want to respond in a positive manner when you start removing those things back out of your diet, and in a short amount of time. Like, this is a 15-day thing, but you know, he's talking about 3 to 5 days just to see a return on your investment in your time, your investment in your time towards, you know, bettering yourself. And just saying
it's going to take longer and longer to adapt. But by lowering the carbs and going at intermittent fasting, you'll get there a lot faster. That explains how to get into ketosis. You lower the carb and you lower the frequency of eating. Now, why would you want to do ketosis? What is the big benefit of doing that? Well, you're going to lower insulin, and most people have high insulin. Rarely does your doctor ever test you for insulin. They'll test you for glucose, but not insulin. Mm-hmm. If they did, they probably would find higher levels of insulin. The test that you would want to do is called HOMA-IR, and that will pick this up. Too much insulin causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is behind prediabetes. Insulin resistance is behind metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, fat in the gut area right through here. And prediabetes leads to diabetes. So in reality, diabetes stems from high levels of insulin at a certain point. And so keto and intermittent fasting will lower insulin. And that is the big benefit of doing this. There's a lot of other benefits too. You can reduce fat in your liver. You can improve your cognitive performance. You can improve your mood. You can help decrease blood pressure, decrease inflammation, improve your energy, and decrease your belly fat. But the real big benefit that allows you to do this eating plan is your hunger goes away, okay? Without being hungry all the time, it makes it really easy to do long-term as a healthy lifestyle. And there's even an additional benefit if you're doing intermittent fasting. That's autophagy. Basically what this is, it's a recycling of garbage in your tissues. So all the damaged protein, the protein that your body doesn't need, it's clogging everything up. Guess what? Your body will recycle that and turn it into new amino acids. That's one of the big things about autophagy. To do this, you have to fast at least for 18 hours. So the combination of keto and IF work very, very nicely together, because if you just do keto hours, so it's one of the big in your tissues. So all the term as a healthy lifestyle.
How I would
and there's even
say about it with autophagy is it's like how you recycle, you know, your plastic bottles, or you recycle your cans or whatever, the glass bottles. You're recycling because it no longer serves you any purpose. So you're recycling it so it can be used, broken down and used for something else. So the same thing with your body and autophagy is if you allow yourself enough time in between fastings, your body will start to use all those dead cells and put it to a better purpose and regenerate. So now you're regenerating. Now your skin is getting healthier looking. You got acne, you got wrinkles or any kind of psoriasis or eczema or any of those things. Your body will start to heal those things up on its own because it's recycling all the bad cells, and it'll turn it into something positive that it can use and fuel for something else. So autophagy, but he's saying, like he just said, you can't even get there until you're fasting for at least 18 hours, which if you factor in from the time that you eat your last morsel, let's say you eat at 8 at night, right? And then you're not eating again until noon the next day, you can already get your body back, and you can get your body into that autophagy, and you can know that you're going to start having that cell regeneration, and it's going to start helping aid in all the things, like the growth of your hair, the growth of your fingernails, the health of your skin, health of your organs, how your body operates at a high efficiency on the inside. So it literally is from the inside out, but you have to have those 18 hours. That's when it starts. And then anything after that 18 hours is how long you gave that autophagy time to turn over and regenerate. So let's hear more.
An additional benefit if you're doing intermittent fasting, that's autophagy. Basically what this is, it's a recycling of garbage in your tissues. So all the damaged protein, the protein that your body doesn't need, it's clogging everything up. Guess what? Your body will recycle that and turn it into new amino acids. That's one of the big things about autophagy. To do this, you have to fast at least for 18 hours. So the combination of keto and IF work very, very nicely together, because if you just do keto without intermittent fasting and your metabolism is slow, you may not achieve your weight loss goal or your other goals, because it would take a very, very long time, and sometimes it's not going to work. Why? Because the frequency of eating in general will trigger insulin. So the frequency of eating is actually very, very important in relationship to you lowering insulin. All right, then you have this concept of a healthy keto plan versus dirty keto. Of course,
I just
recommend the healthy keto, and this basically is higher quality ingredients, grass-fed, wild-caught, pasture-raised versus conventional type foods right here. With healthy keto, you're focused on nutrient-dense foods. With dirty keto, you're really just focused on keeping your carbs low. When you do healthy keto, you end up looking a lot better than doing the dirty keto. All right, the rule of thumb is don't eat unless you have hunger, okay? Unless you have the sensation of being hungry.
Dirty keto is
when you're doing the healthy version of keto and you're doing enough leafy greens and vegetables, okay? And you're doing enough healthy fats and you're improving insulin resistance, you're not only going to be full, but you're going to be satisfied. Now, if you look at the pie chart here, we have about 5% carbs of your total calories, and then 5% vegetables, which, by the way, actually adds up to a lot, because if you look at the carbohydrates and vegetables, you minus the fiber, giving the net carb, it doesn't come out to a lot of calories. So if we look at the total carbs, which would include like berries, hummus, nuts, and seeds, there's a little bit of carbs in those. And you combine the vegetables, that's like 10%. Then we have 20% protein,
Hummus, I
and then
get
we have
that's more like a
70% fat.
Mediterranean